Former terror agent unmasks Pakistan. Former terror aide spills the beans. They do recce, provide terror logistics.
ये तो सर ये जो खबर देता है कि नहीं इस टाइम यहाँ पे फौज नहीं है, इस टाइम यहाँ पे हालात ठीक है, इस टाइम यहाँ पे अच्छा मौका है अटैक करने का, तो तब ही वो हो सकता है.
Hear how Pakistan recruits brainwashes in Jammu Kashmir.
ऐसे ही बोलते थे, ऐसे ही माइंड वॉश करते थे कि अगर मैं भी आपकी तरफ ऐशो आराम की जिंदगी गुजारता था तो मुझे क्या मजबूरी थी गन उठाने की.
India Today world exclusive. Locals aided Pahalgam terrorists. That is our top focus on the news track.
Good evening. You're watching News Track here on India Today. I'm Akshata Nantagopal. Over the next 30 minutes, we're going to do a deep dive into overground workers, OGWs as they're called, the backing that Pakistani terrorists get from our own soil, from Indian soil, from Kashmir to carry out terror attacks. We've seen several of these locals being held, detained in the last few days since the Pahalgam terror attack. Sources have told us in the NIA that they believe OGWs helped in carrying out the Pahalgam terror attack. But for the very first time on national television, you're going to hear from one of these former terror aides, a man who worked as an overground worker for Lashkar-e-Taiba, has spoken out. We hid his identity for obvious reasons, but we give you details, the incriminating details of how really this terror network operates, how Pakistan uses these OGWs to carry out terror attacks. Importantly, how they brainwash them. That mega exclusive coming your way on this edition of News Track. I'm Akshata Nantagopal. Let's quickly run you through the headlines. Government to step up civil defence. Mock drills across India from May 7th. The operationalisation of air raid, warning sirens, training of civilians, blackout measures, all of it to be prepped. Prime Minister Modi holds key security meetings. NSA Doval, Defence Secretary, Home Secretary meet the Prime Minister. Kashmir ground situation and the next course of action discussed. India's water strike on Pakistan. India initiates dam operations and accelerates 6 hydropower projects following Indus Waters Treaty suspension. War of words over Congress Netas Rafale Nimbu Mirchi remark. UP Congress chief says Rafales remain unused. BJP hits out, says pro-Pak Cong Netas making headlines in Pakistan. Russian President Vladimir Putin to visit India tells Prime Minister Pahalgam attackers must be brought to justice. We have lined up for you on the special edition of News Track a mega exclusive where we've spoken to a former Lashkar terror aide, an OGW, an overground worker. Before we get to that exclusive, let me just break down for you who exactly an OGW is, an overground worker. How do they help terror organizations carry out terror attacks? Essentially, OGWs are called overground workers because they provide all necessary logistical support to terrorists. So, for example, in the case of Pahalgam, these are terrorists from Pakistan who are entering into Indian soil. They're on alien territory. These OGWs help them, providing them all logistical support of where to stay, where to hide. They provide them shelter. They act as guides for the terrorists of when to go ahead and approach an attack site. Which are the areas where there's weakened security? All of this, it's the OGWs who help. They aid in the covert movement of terrorists, which is why there's a big question mark right now in Pahalgam on whether these OGWs are helping the terrorists hide from our forces even now. They also supply real-time intel during attacks, in touch constantly with Pakistani handlers. They're involved in radicalization, recruitment, and possible ideological support as well. They brainwash themselves. They then spread the word. Fuel stone pelting, mob violence, and unrest, all at the behest of their Pakistani handlers. And so far, if you look at the Pahalgam attack alone, over 20 OGWs have been, in fact, arrested by the NIA. There are a lot more who are still being identified. From the details that I just gave you, what's clear here? It's clear that for Pakistani terrorists to be able to carry out an attack in Kashmir in India, they need the active tacit support of these OGWs, which is why it's so crucial to find each one of them and nab them. Let's get you now our India Today exclusive. This is a world exclusive because for the very first time, you're going to be hearing from an overground worker, a man who worked with the Lashkar-e-Toiba, helped them carry out a grenade blast. He's left that behind in his past now, as he says very clearly in our interview. But he gives us such detailed and important insights on how these OGWs work. You won't hear this anywhere else. And this perhaps is the clincher of how the Pahalgam terrorists also carried out the attack that took place in the Baisaran Valley, a tourist site, on April 22nd. Here are some excerpts of that exclusive conversation that my colleague Arvind Ojha got us from Kashmir.
जो मिलिटेंट भी जो बोलता है उस बंदे को करना है तो वो बंदा किसी भी हालत में वो करना चाहिए। कश्मीर के जो नौजवान हैं ये भी चाहते हैं कि हम मिलिटेंटों के साथ काम करें, हमारा खून उनके लिए लगे। हम कश्मीरी OGW जो भी है कश्मीरी सब यूथ ये भी यही चाहते हैं कि मिलिटेंट को मतलब कि एक तो इसको प्रोटेक्ट करना और दूसरा इसको किसी भी जगह पे सेफ रखना या खाना वगैरह पहुंचाना, मतलब कि इन शॉर्ट अगर बोला जाए कि इसको प्रोटेक्ट कर।
क्या आपको बोलते थे BBM चैट में कि आप आतंकवादी के साथ काम करने को तैयार हो गए? क्या बोलते थे, क्या बातचीत होती थी?
यही सर कि अगर हम निकल गए, मैं भी आपके साथ मतलब कि कल तक था, हम तो साथ में थे, मुझे कौन सी मजबूरी थी निकलने की, गन उठाने की, मुझे कौन सी मजबूरी थी। ऐसे ही बोलते थे, ऐसे ही माइंड वॉश करते थे कि अगर मैं भी आपकी तरफ ऐशो आराम की ज़िंदगी गुजारता था तो मुझे क्या मजबूरी थी गन उठाने की।
पहलगाम में जो ये टेररिस्ट अटैक हुआ, आपको क्या लगता है कि ये ओवरग्राउंड वर्कर का इसमें हाथ हो सकता है?
सर ओवरग्राउंड वर्कर के बगैर तो ये काम हो ही नहीं सकता है अगर देखा जाएगा। देखो सर, अगर मुझे यहाँ अगर मुझे सर यहाँ पे श्रीनगर में मानो कि अटैक करना होगा, सर मैं ऐसे थोड़ी ना जा सकता हूँ। मुझे क्या पता वहाँ पर उस टाइम फौज होगी या कोई और होगा, मैं मत वहाँ पे अटैक करने से पहले ही मत मारा जाऊंगा। ये तो सर ये जो खबर देता है कि नहीं इस टाइम यहाँ पे फौज नहीं है, इस टाइम यहाँ पे हालात ठीक है, इस टाइम यहाँ पे अच्छा मौका है अटैक करने का, तो तब ही वो हो सकता है। तो वो विद द हेल्प ऑफ OGW, सीधी सी बात है सर, OGW के बगैर ये काम नहीं हो सकता।
अच्छा, मतलब बैरसन घाटी में जो टूरिस्ट होंगे तो उसकी इंफॉर्मेशन OGW देगा?
जी सर, मेरे ख्याल से OGW का काम है ये। मेरे हिसाब से अगर बात करेंगे तो लगभग 5-6 OGW उस टाइम वहाँ पर मिलिटेंटों के साथ होंगे और वो उनको इन्फॉर्म भी करते हैं कि यहाँ पर ऐसा ऐसा होगा।
तो वो तो पाकिस्तानी टेररिस्ट हैं, कैसे OGW के कांटेक्ट में आए होंगे? किसी दूसरे के थ्रू?
जी सर, जैसे मैंने बोला वैसे ही उनको ऑलरेडी उनके साथ कांटेक्ट होगा। तो सर ये ऐसे ही उन्होंने इनको पहले अगर देखा जाएगा, इन्होंने पहले 1 महीना पहले इन्होंने पहले मशवरा किया, प्लानिंग की होगी कि कैसे कब किस टाइम पे हमको अटैक करना है।
आपके कितने दोस्त अभी OGW हैं और कितने टेररिस्ट बन चुके हैं?
सर टेररिस्ट की अगर बात करेंगे तो वो भी ऑन ग्राउंड में 2 टेररिस्ट है अभी भी। तो न्यूट्रलाइज की अगर बात करेंगे सर लगभग अप्रॉक्स 13-14।
All right, so you just heard there some of the excerpts of the conversation that we had with one of an OGW terrorist. Essentially, these are terrorists, let's be very clear, because they help actively Pakistani terrorists carry out attacks in our soil. Now, we've also seen a crackdown by the NIA against these particular Pahalgam terrorists in our soil who helped the Pakistanis. Now, outrage is brewing in Kulgam because a 23-year-old man, a suspected Lashkar terrorist, Imtiaz Ahmed, allegedly drowned while trying to escape police custody. Police say he jumped into a stream after revealing a Lashkar hideout. His family, however, alleges a custodial death. This is the kind of politics that's playing out over the crackdown of an overground worker, over the crackdown of a terror suspect.
A terror suspect seen here on the run. So desperate to escape authorities, he jumps into a raging stream and drowns to death. "23-year-old Imtiaz Ahmed's body was found in a drain after he jumped into the stream. The man was picked up by the Jammu and Kashmir police for allegedly having links with the Lashkar-e-Taiba, a UN-designated banned terrorist organization. According to the Jammu and Kashmir police, he confessed to his links and was taking the authorities towards a Lashkar hideout when he escaped, and then, as you see in these pictures, dived into a stream.
The police version, though, is not cutting a lot of ice as far as the Valley politicians and the family is concerned, who are demanding that there should be a thorough probe and a judicial probe, in fact, to bring out the facts about this particular case.
But Imtiaz's family have a different story to narrate. They insist the 23-year-old was killed in custody. This prompted the Jammu and Kashmir government to seek a detailed investigation into the allegations of custodial killing.
एलजी साहब को गुजारिश करना चाहूँगी कि ये जो इम्तियाज़ अहमद हैं जिसको घर से लिया गया और बाद में उसकी लाश जो है उसको बरामद किया गया है, इसको जुडिशियल इंक्वायरी जो है वो होनी चाहिए ताकि जो सही बातें हैं वो सामने आए.
The terror suspect and his family got the backing, with PDP chief Mehbooba Mufti demanding compensation for Imtiaz's family.
आप किसी को भी OGW का नाम देके उसको कत्ल करोगे क्या? कल जो आपने इम्तियाज को उधर मार दिया वो भी बहुत गरीब है. जब तक आप उसकी इंक्वायरी करेगी, कम से कम इन फैमिलीज को कंपनसेशन मिलना चाहिए.
The crackdown on overground workers continues, with terror suspects being weeded out one after the other. Footage of the terror suspect jumping to his death has, however, taken a political turn, with sympathizers demanding compensation for his family. With Mir Farid in Srinagar, Bureau Report, India Today.
And Pakistan continues its provocations along the border, resorting to more ceasefire violations at the LOC. Pakistan has violated the ceasefire once again along the line of control, this time in Poonch district of Jammu and Kashmir. We've been reporting from April 23rd, the day after the Pahalgam terror attack, how Pakistan has been repeatedly resorting to ceasefire violations along the line of control and even along the international border, along the IB as well. Now, after Pakistan has resorted to this provocation, we've been told that our forces also are giving a befitting reply to this violation. I want to bring in Sunilji Bhatt for more details on this. Sunilji, multiple ceasefire violations every single night, the latest being reported in Poonch.
Akshita, there is no end to ceasefire violations by Pakistan along the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir. In the latest incident, Pakistani troops violated ceasefire along the line of control at Degwar in Poonch district of Jammu and Kashmir. Pakistani troops once again resorted to unprovoked firing. Indian Army has given a befitting reply. Our troops on ground have responded strongly and effectively, but it's clear that Pakistan is rattled and it's trying to escalate tensions along the line of control. That is why there is high alert all along the line of control as well as along the India-Pakistan international border in Jammu and Kashmir. And our security forces are ready, and if the enemy resorts to any kind of misadventure, a befitting reply will be given. Pakistani troops once again violated ceasefire this evening. Pakistani troops resorted to small arms fire, and Indian Army gave a befitting reply. The firing is still on. And what we are learning from our sources is that so far the firing has been confined to small arms, but the army is on alert mode and high alert has been sounded across the length and breadth of Jammu and Kashmir.
Okay, Sunilji, thanks very much for joining us with those details. Pakistan resorting to the same old tactics of violating ceasefire now in Poonch. We will track the latest updates that come in on this, but why is this not surprising? Because we've seen multiple ceasefire violations taking place along the line of control and even along the international border. Let's just take a look, really, at the number of ceasefire violations that have been reported in the last many days. Since April 23rd, look at the number there. It keeps increasing. Nowshera, Kupwara, Rajouri have seen ceasefire violations in the last 2 days. But you go back essentially from April 23rd and along the line of control, even along the international border, there have been multiple provocations by Pakistan resorting to ceasefire violations. What does this translate to? Usually when you see this kind of cover firing being provided, it's for terrorists to infiltrate across, the Pakistan army helping terrorists. Now, with the situation as is, the Pakistan army is scared. They are unsure of how India is going to retaliate over them pushing terrorists into our soil, and so they're resorting to these ceasefire violations. So don't be, surprised if those numbers really, and the number of ceasefire violations you see on your screens there, continues to go up over the next few days. The big headline that emerged, in fact, a few hours ago is that we're going to be seeing mock drills happening in India the day after. Across all states, the MHA has issued a directive to conduct mock drills. What does this mean? Well, essentially, there are a couple of measures that will be taken up as part of these drills. What are they? First, based on the notice that's been issued by the MHA, is air raid sirens. Now, air raid sirens is something that we've reported on from several war zones. So let's tell you about these air raids, and we'll talk about this in just a bit. But first, on air raid sirens, what does that mean? It means that there will be sirens that will be fired during times of high alert. And so, at any point when an air raid siren is fired, then immediately civilians must know what to do. So you're going to see a mock drill on that to also see whether these air drills actually work. Second, implementation of blackout protocol. What it means is that when there is a directive given, immediately civilians know to switch off lights in their homes. So you and me, when there's a warning issued, we switch off all lights in our residences as soon as the alert comes across. So to ensure awareness on that front, you're going to see a drill on this as well. Training civilians in self-defense. What does this exactly mean? It translates to not people actually going out there and fighting the war, but training civilians on self-protection, on basic steps to ensure their own and their loved ones' safety as well. That in different scenarios, what do you need to do to protect yourself? Self-protection is the key. So here, civil defense volunteers play a big role. Camouflaging of vital installations. We're talking about defense installations, government installations, sensitive structures, which also, of course, hold a lot of defense secrets. To protect all of these important structures, there's clear protocol in place. So you're essentially ensuring that all of that is also checked in this mock drill, that there is a rehearsal of sorts. The fifth measure that's been mentioned by the MHA is to update evacuation routes. In case of an emergency, civilians must know what to do. They should know where to go to, which are the safety points, which are the safety zones, and what is the evacuation protocol. So essentially, it's a revision of sorts, a rehearsal, if you will, which we will witness on Wednesday when these drills take place, not in one or two parts of the country, but across all states. So last time we saw these kind of drills take place is when there was an actual war in the country. Let me take you back. 1971, during the Indo-Pakistan War, we did see this happen. The India-China War too. They were not just mock drills, but you saw drills taking place. The last known incident was in 1999 during the Kargil War, where in several parts, particularly in North India, areas bordering Pakistan, in the national capital, air raid sirens would go off. All of these drills would take place. Let me bring in Gaurav Sawant on this broadcast to kind of decode for us what these drills really mean. Gaurav, this announcement, of course, has led to a lot of speculation on what's in the works, what is the government planning to do. How do you read into this? When are these kind of drills announced, Gaurav? Is it only when there is going to be imminent war?
There's an old saying in the Indian Air Force, in fact it's their motto, the more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war. And that's exactly what the government wants citizens to do. Know the ropes, because the moment you are forewarned, you're forearmed. Now, the moment an air raid siren goes off, you should know what to do. Where do you head? Where do you protect yourselves? Where do you protect yourselves from an incoming enemy missile? The radars will be able to look at the missile coming in. They'll be able to judge whether your anti-missile defense system will be able to neutralize the missile, or if there are multiple missiles, which rocket may hit which area, and the air raid siren of that area will go off, alerting citizens to head to the nearest metro station, underground bunker, anything that's safe, where they can go, basement parkings, for example. The government will give very clear directives on what needs to be done, and that is why these mock drills become extremely important. Students, civil defense guides, teachers, they will guide citizens to what needs to be done and what must be avoided at all costs.
But Gaurav, also, on the aspect of these particular drills, when is it really announced? Is this part of protocol that you have these kind of drills being announced?
There's an old saying in the Indian Air Force, in fact it's their motto, the more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war. And that's exactly what the government wants citizens to do. Know the ropes, because the moment you are forewarned, you're forearmed. Now, the moment an air raid siren goes off, you should know what to do. Where do you head? Where do you protect yourselves? Where do you protect yourselves from an incoming enemy missile? The radars will be able to look at the missile coming in. They'll be able to judge whether your anti-missile defense system will be able to neutralize the missile, or if there are multiple missiles, which rocket may hit which area, and the air raid siren of that area will go off, alerting citizens to head to the nearest metro station, underground bunker, anything that's safe, where they can go, basement parkings, for example. The government will give very clear directives on what needs to be done, and that is why these mock drills become extremely important. Students, civil defense guides, teachers, they will guide citizens to what needs to be done and what must be avoided at all costs.
All right, thanks very much, Gaurav, for getting us those details. Let's cut across to breaking news that's coming in. Now, India is clearly on alert, with the Home Ministry issuing that notification for mock drills. Tomorrow, you're going to be seeing a meeting also on this. The Home Secretary will be meeting with representatives of all states and union territories to discuss how to go about these mock drills that's slated to happen on Wednesday. 244 districts will participate in this mock drill, and the citizen training for safety during attack will take place. We understand the disaster management officials, railways, air defense officials, all of them will be a part of this particular huddle that will be taking place. Let me bring in Munish Pandey for more details. Munish, tomorrow there will be this crucial meeting where we understand representatives of all states will be present, perhaps to understand exactly how this mock drill will be conducted across the country.
Absolutely, Akshita. This is regarding the preparedness which the government is trying to make at this point of time, and that is why this meeting at the Office of Ministry of Home Affairs is going to be extremely crucial, in which it will be decided that how the civil defense exercise and rehearsal will be organized in close coordination with all the states and union territories across 244 civil districts of the country. Now, Akshita, within hours after the Home Ministry announced that the mock drill is needed, and for that the preparedness has to be done from the different state governments. As far as the primary objectives of the mock drills are concerned, we have been given to understand is that the directives by the Home Ministry include to assess the effectiveness of air raid warning systems. Apart from that, there should be hotline radio communication links. Also, training of civilian students on the civil defense aspects to protect themselves in the event of hostile attacks. Also, provisions of crash blackout measures. So there are going to be multiple issues which will be, taken place by the different state governments day after tomorrow. But tomorrow it is going to be extremely crucial because the Home Secretary will be briefing that what exactly has to be done, where exactly has to be done, what are the measures which has to be taken while conducting such mock drills, Akshita.
What we're going to be seeing is unprecedented. The fact that there's going to be a mock drill across the country. And Munish, that's why, of course, coordination is key here. There will be details ironed out in this meeting, which is slated, by the way, to happen at 10:30 in the morning. That's when this meeting, the Home Secretary will be leading it, and this meeting will have representatives, we also understand, of the disaster management, of the railways, air defense forces. Officials will be present in this meeting to kind of guide all states and union territories on how to go about this particular mock drill on Wednesday. Let's cut across to more breaking news. And the Pakistan Defense Minister, again unsure of exactly how India is going to retaliate, has warned that India could carry out a military strike any moment along the line of control. Pakistan's Defense Minister Khwaja Asif has issued another public warning, saying India could carry out a military strike at any moment. And this, remember, has been the tune that Pakistan has been singing for the last many days. Ministers on record have come out and said, in the next 36 hours, you're going to be seeing a strike. And now Pakistan's Defense Minister Khwaja Asif saying, any moment now, there will be a military strike along the LOC. This is what, in fact, Khwaja Asif has told reporters in Islamabad. This is the kind of comment that's coming from the Pakistan government, mind you. These are top ministers who are resorting to these kind of statements with no clue of what's coming their way. They're going down a spiral, and so making these comments that any time now, in 24 hours, in 36 hours, you're going to be seeing a strike. And with that news break, I'm wrapping up this edition of News Track. Thanks very much for tuning in.